Good evening and welcome to California Today. I'm Bill Thomas and here's a preview of some of today's top stories. A former executive of Theranos will start his prison sentence today. This comes after he and founder Elizabeth Holmes were charged with defrauding investors. 3 of California's largest utility companies are proposing an income-based billing system. The plan would allow some households to save money, while others could face higher electricity bills. And an Assemblyman shares with NTD his thoughts on the future of parental rights in the state. He says he disagrees with government influence regarding how parents raise their children. A former executive of Theranos is starting his nearly 13-year prison sentence today. He and another executive were charged with deceiving the public about the abilities of their blood testing company.
Former Theranos president Ramesh Sunny Balwani is expected to begin his prison sentence for fraud on April 20th at the Terminal Island Federal Correctional Institution in the Los Angeles neighborhood of San Pedro. Balwani was sentenced to 12 years and 11 months in prison on charges of defrauding investors and patients of the blood testing startup led by Elizabeth Holmes. Prosecutors said 57-year-old Balwani conspired with 39-year-old Holmes to deceive Silicon Valley investors into believing the company had achieved miniaturized machines that could accurately run a broad array of medical diagnostic tests from a small amount of blood. The prison is a male, low-security federal prison near the Port of Los Angeles.
3 of California's largest electricity providers are proposing a new billing system that would charge customers according to their income bracket. Now, if the proposal passes, it would mean that if you earn a higher income, you'd be charged with higher utility bills.
Pacific Gas and Electric, or PG&E, Southern California Edison, and San Diego Gas and Electric are proposing a new income-based billing system. The utility companies submitted on April 10th their joint application to the California Public Utilities Commission. PG&E said in a statement, quote, "This proposal aims to help lower bills for those who need it most and improves billing transparency and predictability for all customers." If approved, the program would divide customer utility bills into a fixed infrastructure charge based on income, plus a usage charge based on consumption. PG&E estimates that the company's lowest income customers would receive a 21% lower electricity bill. Moderate income households would pay a fixed charge of $51 and get about 6% lower bills. But high-income customers would pay a $92 fixed charge, which would increase their bills by about 24%. PG&E adds that, quote, "As California rapidly advances to a future of electrification, this proposal would help limit the impact on disadvantaged communities." The state's aggressive action plans include switching over to renewable energy sources and cutting fossil fuels by 2045 and banning the sale of gas-powered cars by 2035. A Public Utilities Commission spokesperson told Epoch Times that the commission expects to make its decision on the program by July 2024.
Production for the movie Rust resumed filming today, 18 months after the fatal on-set shooting involving Alec Baldwin and another crew member. According to a lawyer, filming will continue in Montana.
Production of the Western Rust will restart on Thursday in Montana, 18 months after actor Alec Baldwin fired a live round that killed cinematographer Helena Hutchins during filming in New Mexico in October 2021. Baldwin will be back on set 2 weeks before the start of a court hearing in New Mexico to decide whether he should stand trial for a felony charge of involuntary manslaughter over her death. According to a lawyer for Rust Movie Productions, filming will resume at Montana's Yellowstone Film Ranch set. Baldwin in October settled a lawsuit with the cinematographer's husband, Matt Hutchins. Under the deal, Hutchins became an executive producer on the movie. The filming would restart with the same principal actors and the same director, Joel Souza, who was also wounded in the shooting.
Assemblyman Bill Desal introduced AB 1314, which would require California schools to notify parents if their child is transgender. But the bill was denied a hearing last week by Assembly Education Committee Chairman, Democratic Assemblyman Al Muratsuchi. NTD's David Zhang speaks with the bill's author to hear his thoughts on the future of parental rights in the state.
Thank you for joining us, Assemblyman Desal. Could you please tell us what happened to your bill, AB 1314, and your reaction?
Sure. So, yeah, we introduced the bill, and the committee had until last week to decide if they're going to hear it or not. And unfortunately, the chairman of the committee, of the Education Committee, notified us that they will not be hearing our bill, which means it won't even get a hearing. We won't be able to speak about it at the committee. We won't have a vote. People won't be able to lodge their support or opposition.
So does this mean the bill is essentially dead? If so, what is your next step?
Well, the bill can be brought up again next year, but now what we're doing is we're focused on empowering parents on the local level. So really what we're talking about here is schools are withholding information from parents about their own kids. And we don't believe this is lawful. So what we're doing is we're going to have the parents go to their local school districts and demand that they change these policies and that they begin to inform parents when the schools learn that their kids are being affected by gender dysphoria.
There have been a lot of ongoing debates between parental rights groups and transgender rights activists in Chico, Newport Beach, and Costa Mesa up and down the state. But when you introduced this bill with your fellow Republican Assemblyman James Gallagher at the state level, did you get any support from Democrats? Or is this an issue kind of divides the two parties?
Well, I'll tell you, informally, we had a lot of folks call our office who said they were Democrats and that they support the bill. But politically, as far as elected Democrats up here, no, not a single elected Democrat supports the bill. But I believe that people, the actual Democrat people in the state, do support this bill. I really believe this is a bipartisan issue. We're talking about children and parents and the sacred relationship between children and parents, and the government coming in and saying that the parents can't know certain things about their kids. We've never had this before. It's not right. I don't believe it's lawful or constitutional.
So the way how this bill is written, does it alter any existing laws for providing medical or psychological confidentiality for minors or prevent schools from protecting a child that may be in danger off campus or at home?
No, so a couple things. Number one, it doesn't alter anything. There is no existing law that says schools are allowed to withhold information from parents. Some districts are claiming that that's what the law says, but that's not true, and they've never been able to point to a single law or to a court case that said that. They totally made that up. So no, we don't believe there's any law that does this. This will just clarify the obligation on the school to notify parents. Secondly, this issue about parents potentially being abusive to their kids. We have so many laws in place and systems in place. If anyone has any information that a parent is being abusive to a minor or that the home is a dangerous place, they have a duty to report that to the authorities. We have law enforcement, we have child protective services, we have a lot of measures in place, but we cannot use that as an excuse to say parents are not allowed to know what's going on with their kids because we have to protect the kids. That to me is a false argument, it's a red herring, and it's an excuse to be able to implement these policies and keep parents in the dark.
Well, some critics call this bill as hate disguised as parental rights. What is your response to that?
Parents are not a hate group. They're not. And nobody cares more for their kids than their own parents. And I don't believe some stranger at school, that whether it's a teacher or counselor, I don't think they're going to care more about your kid than you. So no, I don't buy that argument. I don't hear any hate coming except from honestly the progressive left. They're trying to make this a hate issue because they don't want to talk about what the bill's actually about, which is parental rights. And who has the right to raise your kids? Is it you, the parents, or is it the government? And I think the government now wants to get in the business of raising our kids, and I'm not going to allow that.
Assemblyman Bill Iseli, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
We'll take a short break now, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. A Santa Monica resident shares what it's like living in the popular beach city. He posts videos to social media, which later go viral. And AI is breaking into the art industry, but now artists are pondering the question, is AI art still considered art? Those stories and more coming up on California Today. Welcome back to California Today. I'm your host, Bill Thomas. A Santa Monica resident shares his experiences living in the popular beach city. He films parts of the city, and his videos later become viral.
Matt Wilson is a videographer and resident of Santa Monica. He tells California Insider host Siamak Karami that the beach town is no longer safe.
Drug use, people defecating on the sidewalks, gang affiliation, organized crime, violence.
Wilson ran a delivery service from 2017 and began seeing the streets transforming and decaying, including open drug use in front of businesses as well as dead bodies.
So the last couple years, I started on my drives just videotaping some of the stuff, because when I saw like others in my community just walking by like this isn't happening, I was like, whoa, I gotta film this. Why isn't anybody, like, this is something you would see in a movie, you know, the type of stuff that you would see. So I started just filming it.
He says he's seen police officers drive by and only respond when someone's making too much of a scene.
When somebody is becoming a point where it's too much of a scene, they grab them up and just throw them in the back of the cop car and just take them out of sight. It's more of like out of sight, out of mind. But lately, in the last several years, since the break-ins and the looting that happened in downtown Santa Monica, it has not been the same. It's the lawlessness. It's that whole, they say Wild West. It really is the Wild West. And the officers that I talk to, they'll try to drive off, or even if I get a couple minutes, they don't even want to talk with me. They don't even want to talk with us. It's like the police and the city officials are against each other or something. They're using us as like in the middle, because they don't want to talk. There's no sense of community anymore. That's what it is. There's no sense of community, and maybe if there was, this wouldn't be happening in our communities. You still have to do a Zoom call to even talk to your city officials. They don't even let you go in person still. What is this, 3 years later?
Wilson says he just wants his videos to spread the message and truth about the city and for people to be safe.
To watch the full program, you can find California Insider on Epic TV's website or on YouTube. Southern California's Poseidon Water will soon receive a $170 million federal loan to upgrade its Carlsbad desalination plant. Officials say the funds will allow the plant to improve both their efficiency and their environmental practices.
The Claude Bud Lewis Carlsbad desalination project is the largest of its kind in the Western Hemisphere. It converts 100 million gallons of seawater into 50 million gallons of drinkable water per day. That's roughly 10% of the San Diego area's water supply. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, announced last month a $170 million loan for Poseidon Water, a seawater desalination developer. The funds will be used to upgrade the Carlsbad plant's seawater intake and discharge systems to meet California's Ocean Plan standards for protecting marine life. Sachin Chawla, president of Poseidon Resources, told the Epoch Times this infusion of low-interest capital and close partnership with the U.S. EPA and the Water Authority will further support modernizing Carlsbad's desalination plant for future generations. The San Diego County Water Authority said that the low-interest loan will save ratepayers $54 million when compared to more conventional financing. The loan from the EPA is part of the Federal Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act, a program that funds U.S. water infrastructure projects.
Amplify Energy, the operator of an oil pipeline which leaked crude oil off the coast of Huntington Beach, they recently announced plans to restart operations. But coastkeepers say they believe oil companies should stop production and they should decommission all of the existing offshore oil platforms.
Amplify Energy received final approval to resume operations on April 7th from the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. Amplify had paused operations since October 2021, following a pipeline leak that released 25,000 gallons of crude oil off the coast of Huntington Beach. This caused beaches stretching from Los Angeles to San Diego to close. In the lawsuits and the plea agreement, Amplify agreed to pay $50 million to groups affected by the spill, a $7 million federal criminal fine, and an additional $250,000 towards pipeline modifications to prevent and detect future spills. It also agreed to a 4-year probationary period requiring 2 yearly visual inspections. But Gary Brown, founder and president of the nonprofit Orange County Coastkeepers, argues that oil companies should stop production and decommission all of their offshore oil platforms. He told the Epoch Times, quote, "The bigger overarching problem is that all of these platforms are beyond the end of their life expectancy."
OpenAI's ChatGPT has put artificial intelligence in the headlines, and AI is breaking the internet and the art industry at the same time. But the art world is now pondering the question, is AI art still considered art?
Artificial intelligence can train itself on a vast collection of digitized artworks to produce new images. Some artists behind AI artworks are displaying their works in California museums. In Los Angeles, Turkish-born Rafik Anadol's artworks are featured at the Jeffrey Dyke Art Gallery. The work transforms publicly available images into moving, abstract digital works on huge monitors throughout the exhibit.
The work is using generative AI, and it's using a custom algorithm that I've been developing last 10 years. And since I coined the term data painting, I'm trying to create artworks with machine learning algorithms, specifically AI.
Anadol says he and his team carefully curate the data they use to ensure there are no copyright issues. And he emphasizes that his work is AI-assisted, not AI-generated, with his team still in control of the final piece.
I always heard this concerns about, like, is it like human art? Is it AI art? Digital art? I think this is a very common problem for anyone pushing the boundaries of imagination, anyone pushing for breakthroughs and pioneership with these new tools.
Meanwhile, in San Francisco, arguably the heart of the current AI development movement, the new Misalignment Museum is taking a different approach. Its exhibition imagines a post-apocalyptic world where AI apologizes for destroying humanity.
It's filled mostly with a lot of art that is able to just demonstrate what AI tech is capable of.
While some embrace the rapidly developing technology, critics claim AI is copying and processing millions of copyright-protected images without a license to create its own art. Oakland-based Indian-born painter Sukanya Sakar prefers to look on the bright side of technology-assisted art, but she hopes future commercial applications can be fine-tuned so artists can more easily opt out.
There are artists who paint for months and weeks, but there's always a difference between what is a hand-drawn painting versus an AI-generated. And I'm hoping art lovers would differentiate that and buy art or think of art. Like, okay, this is well thought through art versus this is AI-generated art.
Sakar also says AI art often looks amateurish and still has difficulties replicating certain objects and body parts, like fingers and feet.
A Powerball ticket worth more than $1.5 million will soon expire. The ticket for the October 26, 2022 drawing matched all 5 numbers except for the Powerball number. It was sold in the city of Los Gatos, just south of San Francisco. Lottery officials are urging anyone who bought a Powerball ticket at the mobile gas station on Los Gatos Boulevard to check their car, their wallet, junk drawer, or anywhere else they may have put it. Now, if no one turns in the winning ticket by next Monday, April 24th, the $1.5 million prize will go to a very good cause, our California public schools. Now let's check in with NTD's Carlos Reyes for today's Sports Roundup, where the Oakland Athletics have found themselves a new home.
Thanks, Bill. This is your California Sports Roundup, and I'm Carlos Reyes. Xavier Tillman recorded a career-high 22 points and added 13 rebounds as Memphis overcame the absence of injured Ja Morant to produce a much-needed victory over visiting Los Angeles. The result evened the best-of-7 first-round Western Conference playoff series at 1 win apiece. Game 3 will be played Saturday night in Los Angeles. Jaren Jackson Jr. had 18 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 blocked shots, as Desmond Bane added 17 points for the second-seeded Grizzlies. LeBron James had 28 points and 12 rebounds, and Rui Hachimura added 20 points off the bench for the 7th-seeded Lakers. Grizzlies 103, Lakers 93. Klim Kostin broke a third period tie, and Leon Draisaitl scored once and added 2 assists as hosts Edmonton beat Los Angeles to even their Western Conference first-round playoff series at 1-1. Derek Ryan and Evander Kane also scored for the Oilers, while goaltender Stuart Skinner made 22 saves. Philip Denault and Gabriel Velarde scored for the Kings, while goalie Younes Korpisalo stopped 33 shots. The series resumes with Game 3 on Friday in Los Angeles. After his team saw a 2-goal edge erased, Kostin scored the game winner at 2 minutes and 20 seconds of the third period. Draisaitl forced a turnover at center to send Kostin on a rush. He worked to the left circle and ripped a screen wrist shot just inside the far post for his first playoff goal. And on what a big stage. Oilers 4, Kings 2. The Oakland Athletics have signed a binding agreement to purchase land for a new retractable roof ballpark in Las Vegas after being unable to build a new venue in the Bay Area. Team president Dave Kaval said Wednesday night the team finalized a deal last week to buy the 49-acre site where the A's plan to build the stadium close to the Las Vegas Strip with a seating capacity of 30,000 to 35,000. The A's will work with Nevada and Clark County on a public-private partnership to fund the stadium. Kaval said the A's hope to break ground by next year and would hope to be moved to their new home by 2027. The A's had been looking for a new home for years to replace the outdated and rundown Oakland Coliseum, where the team has played since arriving from Kansas City for the 1968 season. They had sought to build a stadium in Fremont and San Jose before shifting their attention to the Oakland waterfront. Commissioner Rob Manfred said in December the A's would not have to pay a relocation fee if the team moved to Las Vegas. The A's would be only the second MLB team to change cities in more than half a century. Since the Washington Senators became the Texas Rangers in 1972, the only team to relocate was the Montreal Expos, who then became the Washington Nationals in 2005. The A's lease at the Coliseum expires after the 2024 season. The A's have struggled to draw fans to the Coliseum in recent years as owner John Fisher has slashed payroll and many of the team's most recognizable stars have been traded away. Meanwhile, Las Vegas is quickly becoming a sports mecca after years of being considered a pariah because of ties to the gambling industry. With gambling legalized in much of the country, the city now could have a baseball team to join the NHL's Golden Knights, who began as an expansion team in 2017, and the recently added Las Vegas Raiders. That is it for today's Sports Roundup. Thank you for watching. I'm Carlos Reyes.
That's all we have for you tonight, and would like you to join us again on California Today every weekday right here at 8:30 p.m. And please make sure to check out our broadcasts on our California Today webpage. You can find that at ntd.com/California-Today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. And if you could, we'd love to hear from you. Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, and that's california.today@ntd.com. I'm Bill Thomas, and for all of us here in the newsroom, have a great night.